Hi, this is Enoch, and I'm here to demo a new project that I've been working on. So this is called MEW. It stands for Multi-Agent Exploration Workbench, and before we get into it, I need to first explain what I'm trying to make here. So a few months ago, I saw the Devlog computer demo, and I really love what they were able to do with kind of visual node-based AI programming, and that was kind of the first application that I saw that really clicked with me. And so that really got me thinking about what we could make if we could connect really simple AI node-based tools with Scratch. And so what are the kind of projects that we would enable people to explore if they would very easily be able to integrate AI workflows into Scratch. And I've been working on it for a few months. This is going to be part of my final year project. So I'm a year 4 student at the University of Hong Kong right now. And this is not affiliated with Scratch. So this is just a personal project that I'm doing for school, and I am going to be working on it for the rest of this year, and I want to see what people think about it, so I'm making this devlog right now to invite you guys to try it out. As you can see, it is currently hosted at mew-scrat.vercel.app, so feel free to visit that yourself and play around with it. So I'm going to be starting by giving a really simple demo, and then at the end I'll also talk about some plans for maybe starting a community around this so that we can have people play test it. And then I just want to get really tight feedback loops, and then just get hear what people think about it so that I can actually make stuff that people want to use. So I'm going to start with a blank project, because then we have less things to talk about first. So let's look at the interface first. If you look at the top left, we have all this toolbars, and we have like a few buttons here. And I'm going to start with the first one, which is an agent. So this is kind of terminology that we use when we talk about AI. We talk about agents very often. We're going to start with one agent. This is currently connected to GPT 3.5 Turbo, and we have no prompt and no inference. So if I run this right now, you can see I have a default hello world, and we get hello, how can I assist you today? So that's pretty, well, I guess we know that it works, but it's pretty boring, right? So I want to add a notepad tool, and I want to tell this agent to be something else. So you can drag and drop using your mouse, and then you can just drag on the node to connect the output to another node. If I go to this notepad tool now, you can see I have this text input, and I can go ahead and tell it, you are Mario. And if I run this again, you'll notice I can run this workflow from anywhere within this bunch of nodes. And you can see now that the prompt says you are Mario, the inference, it gives me something else other than the default input. And so this is how we can very quickly start customizing our AI and start telling it what we want it to be. And so this notepad tool is useful for that. And now that we have a kind of really simple understanding, we can go ahead and look at this slightly more complicated example. So if you just go to load, I've put in 3 demos so far, but if you click on the starter demo, you're going to be loading up this project. So this is a Pokemon inspired starter project. So let's look at the first input. It says, tell me something about Mew in 1 sentence. And so if I run this right now, you can see that the agent will follow that instruction, and it will give me a little bit of information about Mew. And the third node is basically showing that you can have the output of the agent go into another node. And so here you can see by the direction of the arrow, we know which way the information is heading. And so here it's the same bit of output from my agent, but I just have it stored in this output so that we see that we can do that. The second experiment I want to show, because so far we've been just showing things that are kind of not really connected with Scratch. So how does this relate to Scratch? Well, here in my second experiment, I start to get information from inside of the Scratch project. So if you want to check out the Scratch project, you can actually just click on this icon here, which will open up whatever Scratch project it is. You'll notice here that at the top here of the Scratch project, there's a link. So you're actually able to load up any public Scratch project that you want into MEW, and it should be able to work. So if we just go into that now, you'll see that in the Scratch project, it's a really simple Scratch project, but we'll put our attention on these variables first. So there's a Pokemon name variable. If you go back into MEW, you'll see that I have this orange variable node, and I'm able to just set, so target variable Pokemon name. I'm basically I'm telling Mew which variable that it should be taking the value from. And so if I just click on that, I can choose the other variables as well. But in this case, we're going to pick Pokemon name. And you can see right now the Pokemon name is set to Charmander. And so that's why here it says variable contents, it says Charmander. And now if I run this, you'll notice that the input compared to before, I'm not specifying which Pokemon we're talking about this time. So we say, tell me something about the following Pokemon in one sentence, and then there's just nothing after that. That's because my variable node is going to be able to supply that information. So basically now we see here, tell me something about the following Pokemon in one sentence, Charmander. And then we have a response that is talking about Charmander. So then we can put that into the output, right? So that's really cool. That shows us how we can have, parts of our workflow that are kind of defined by what you have inside of Scratch. But so far we've been running everything on the Mew side, like I've had to manually trigger these workflows. But what if I wanted an entire back and forth between the Scratch project and the AI workflows? Because ultimately we want to create a system that can enable people to make AI-enabled Scratch projects, right? And so in this example, this third example I'm showing here, I'm showing a full slice of that. So you have a back and forth, right? So what I mean by that is, if we go ahead and look into this Scratch project, and we look at the code I have inside, these Pokemon, it's a very, very simple script. All it's saying is, when this sprite is clicked, it's going to set the Pokemon name variable to whichever Pokemon it is. So in this case, this one's Squirtle, so it's going to set it to Squirtle, and I'm going to broadcast who's that Pokemon. Right? And then you can see here at the start of my third bit of workflow here, I have a receiver node that is also set to look out for who's that Pokemon. And so what that does is, when the Scratch project has this broadcast, then my system knows that it's going to trigger this workflow, and then it starts that workflow. And the rest of the workflow is, as you can see, something we've built up so far, so it's very similar to the previous example. It just gets the value, it talks about it, and the next step, which is really interesting, is how we put the value back in to the Scratch project. So if we go back here, you can see the Pokédex response. There's another variable called Pokédex response, and this variable is currently hidden, but what it does is I can put that value, the output, so whatever output I get from the LLM, I can put it into another variable. And so that's how we're able to, at least currently in this stage, have a very simple back and forth from the Scratch project to my Mew side, and then send it back into the Scratch project. And then of course we can also broadcast messages back into the Scratch project, and I have a thing that receives this message as well. And so yeah, enough talking, let me just show you how that would work. So if I just click on Bulbasaur, for example, you can see I set the Pokemon name variable, and then you can see the workflow has already triggered. If I just do that again, you can see it'll trigger every time I click, and it sends that information back. And so that's a really fun way to start our exploration of what this tool can do. Now, there are 2 more demos that are available currently on this version of the website. So I encourage you to go and try those out yourself. And of course, you're also able to put in your own project and start creating your own Mew project. So you can create a new project and then just put a link to whatever Scratch project that you have in mind, and then you can start playing around with this current set of nodes. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what people think of it so far, because keep in mind, this is still really, really early on for the project, so many things are still going to change. But how I'm going to change it for the better depends on what the community needs, right? So I wanted to start talking to actual users as soon as possible. And so one way for us to do that is you can join our Discord, or you could just comment your suggestions in the comments. Yeah, so the plan for the Discord is you're going to be able to talk to other people that are also making these projects with me, and you're going to be able to give me direct feedback so that I can hear what people actually want to make. And I also want to be hosting workshops so that we can do play testing, and then we can see what people really want from the system, and what things that people yeah, what things that people are making. And yeah, so that's it for this really quick demo. Thank you so much for your time, and do let me know what you think. I'm really excited to hear what everybody wants to make out of this. Okay, thank you. Bye.